Good morning, everyone. Welcome to LisaBug Yoga for All. And I try to really design this practice for the beginner, the intermediate yogi, all the way up to the advanced, hopefully something that you will need today in your body. We've had some special requests for a little bit of neck and shoulders. That's been on tap the whole month. So we're going to release the neck and shoulders a little bit as we're doing our flowing practice today. Also, we're going to learn the left nostril breath, the right nostril breath, and the alternating nostril breath. You can do that sitting down on your mat, or if you feel more comfortable, just to sit into a chair for a moment as we go over those breathing patterns, that would be great too. I'm also using a chair for options when we're doing our yoga flow, to place hands on the chair for things like down dog, forward bend. You don't have to have it, but it's always nice to have for a choice. Block 2 at the ready, and a yoga strap if you have that today. So just come into a nice comfortable seat to start. I'm going to sit up on my yoga blanket. And we won't spend a lot of time covering this, but our theme for the month has been finding the breath. So we've been learning some different breath control practices or pranayama, both in the yoga classes as well as in my mind-body blend, where we do some Pilates work. So scientifically, it's known that if we breathe predominantly out our right nostril, and this is mine, but I know I'm facing you on the camera. So your right nostril breathing, that activates our sympathetic nervous system. So that side of our body, that's the fight or flight, the get up and go side of our nervous system. If we breathe predominantly through the left side nostril, that's our parasympathetic side of the nervous system. So our rest and digest, our relax. If we breathe alternating nostril breath, it brings us into this balance between both sides of our brain, our hemisphere, both sides of our nervous system, brings us into a nice homeostatic state. Many studies have shown if we feel anxious or nervous and we do that left nostril breathing, it will calm our heart rate, it will drop our blood pressure, it will send those hormones that are in our bloodstream like epinephrine, norepinephrine, adrenaline, those hormones, they'll start to dissipate. So it's very good for the cardiovascular system. So we're going to start with our left nostril breathing. So just with your dominant side hand, close off your right nostril. And I like to do it with my 2 index fingers right on my third eye center, because that brings my awareness to what I'm doing. And then I'm going to close off my right nostril with my thumb. And we're just going to take 10 slow inhales and exhales only through the left side nostril. And I want you to breathe in as deeply as you can. And this is also known as the cooling breath. This is the breath that brings us into that rest and digest side of our nervous system. And you don't have to pinch off your nose hard, just a little slight pressure so that you can send all the breath into that left side nostril. When you get that 10th breath, just let that hand rest into your lap and just notice how you feel. You can close your eyes. This should bring a sense of calming to your body, to your mind, and to your well-being. And then we'll move into the warming breath, the right nostril breath. This kind of speeds up our get up and go. It's kind of nice to prepare us for a more active yoga practice, or if you're feeling lethargic, tired, no motivation, I really don't want to do anything today, try the right nostril breathing. So again, I'm going to take my index finger middle finger in the third eye center. Instead of closing off my right nostril, I'm using my pinky now, or my third finger. I'm going to close off the left nostril. Take 10 breaths in and out through that right side nostril. Now, sometimes we're a little stuffed up. You might have to blow your nose before you do any of these single side nostril breathing. Or if you're really congested, you might not be able to do a single side. If you've got some peppermint oil or eucalyptus, you can always breathe in that a little bit before you try these breath patterns to clear your sinuses. And when you've finished your 10th right nostril breath, again, just set your hand down into your lap. You can close your eyes and just notice how you feel. For some of us, it's like, I don't really feel anything different. Maybe I feel like a little more energized. The more often you do this, you'll notice these subtle differences between these two styles of breathing. And you should do more than 10, but just for time's sake today, I picked that number just to get an indication of what that breath pattern is like. But you would do it more for maybe a couple of minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, if you wanted to do that on your own. So the last one we'll do is the alternating nostril breath. Nadi Shodhana. So again, I'd like to take my 2 fingers, index and middle, place it against my third eye. Your thumb will close one nostril. The third finger will close the other one. And we'll inhale first through the left side nostril. Close off the left side nostril and breathe out through the right. Pause there. Breathe in through the right. Close off the right side nostril. Breathe out through the left. In through the left. Out through the right. In through the right. Out through the left. So it looks like an arcing movement if you can imagine that in your mind. You're going in through the left side, out through the right, in through the right, out through the left. And just try that at your own pace for another 3 or 4 rounds of the breath. It's really important to sit up tall and to keep your throat nice and open as you do this breath pattern. Once you get the number of breaths that you like, release your hand. And you finish with the exhalation out the left side nostril where you began. Then close your eyes and just notice how you feel. And again, these breath patterns take a lot of practice. You'll become comfortable with it. You'll become almost a little bit addicted to it once you notice how it makes you feel, if you need to be energized or relaxed. So let's just come now to a nice big inhale, stretch up. Take an exhale over to the right, open up through the waist, and we'll start to warm up the spine and the shoulders. So today's practice is going to be a little bit more active than we have the past few weeks. But again, I want you to be where you are today in your yoga practice. So if you need to slow down the pace, you're going at your own pace, listening to your body, knowing what's right for you today, taking the modifications that you need in this moment. Let's do one more to each side, just loosening up the side waist, noticing your lower back, finishing at the top. We'll twist to the right side, left hand comes across that right knee, look behind you. Come back to the center, arms reach, rotate other side, and look behind. So we're noticing how the neck feels, the mid back, the upper back. You'll start to feel some lengthening through your shoulder blades. And you don't have to make this a big twist. We're just starting, just warming up, moving through a nice range of motion. Let's do one more on each side. Come back to center. Inhale out to goalpost arms and lift your heart up, slightly open your throat. Exhale, round your back like a cat and drop your chin, pull your elbows towards each other. So as we open, this is a seated cow. We tip our tailbone back, and then a seated cat. We tuck our tailbone underneath the body. With the breath, warming up through the chest, the shoulders, tight spots in the upper back. One more time, breathe in and breathe out. And then breathe in and hold. Find a neutral spine. Cross your right arm on top of your left, and you can either give yourself a big hug here, or you can wrap your arms into eagle arms. Now, because of tight shoulders, that's not always an option for people to get their arms wrapped. So this is absolutely fine. And we're just going to turn our head to the right and left 3 times, slowly, loosening up the neck, upper back, and shoulders. And just notice what you're feeling in terms of that stretch in the upper back. Then we come back to center and just curve your back in that seated cat and take 3 breaths here. Try to open up the back side of your ribs. It's hard to take a belly breath here, so I want you to send the breath into the back side of your body. Exhale, coming back up. Tip the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left ear towards the left shoulder. Center and unravel the arms. Open. Then as you close, cross the left arm on top of the right. Either give yourself a big hug here and just separate your shoulder blades, or wrap those arms into eagle. So in eagle, we try to spin our thumbs towards our nose. So your lower arms are rotating. And then we'll look to the right and left 3 times each direction. See if you can sit up a little taller. Just a nice, comfortable seated position. Once you bring your chin back to center, round your back. So as you do, tuck your tailbone under, drop your chin towards your chest, create space all along the back side of the spine, and take 3 deep breaths. The breath in helps you to create more stretch. Rise back up, tip the right ear towards the right shoulder, left ear towards the left shoulder. Head back to center, unwrap the arms, inhale, open, and exhale, relax. Whew, if we did that every day, wow, how would we feel? Just a wonderful, nice, quick practice for releasing the upper back, neck, and shoulders. We will revisit these positions as we come up to a stand. So rise all the way up. If you're using a chair, you'll have that towards what you consider the top of your mat. And make sure that I've got the legs of my chair actually on my yoga mat. So if I push against it, it's not going to go sliding away from me. So you want to make sure that chair is secure. If you're not using it, maybe place a block down at the floor if you'll be needing your block. So let's take a breath in, inhale up. Exhale, press the palms together and sit into chair pose. Just notice the strength of your legs, your knees tracking over your feet. We'll do that 3 times. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, sink. Chair. 2 more. Breathe in. And breathe out completely. 1 more. Breathe in. And breathe out. Now breathe in and swan dive into a forward bend. And if you want to make it shallow, you can bring your hands to your chair, give yourself a little bit of support, or your fingertips can go further down towards your mat. And we'll do that 3 times. Breathe in, softening the knees, come up. Breathe out, forward bend. I like the chair. You can just use it for a little bit of support, especially if you're pretty tight in your hamstrings, because if your fingertips are placed there, you can let go a little bit more in the backs of the legs. This is our last one, holding that forward fold. Now with hands either on the floor or on your chair, step your right foot back into a warrior 1 stance. Then rise up. So I have my hips squared towards the top of the mat, towards that chair. Back foot is slightly turned out, but not much. We'll inhale into goalpost arms. Take a nice stretch. And then exhale, cross the right arm on top of the right and either give yourself that hug or wrap into eagle arms. And we'll look over the right and left shoulder 2 times, right and left. 1 more, right and left. Head comes back to center, and as we did when we were seated, I want you to curve your body into a standing cat, round and drop your elbows down towards that front knee. It's a modification of our humble warrior. Take 2 breaths into the backside body. Now relax your head. Release any tension from your neck. And then pull yourself back up. Tip the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left towards the left shoulder. Come back to center. Unwrap the arms. Inhale, reach. Exhale, hands can either come to the floor or to your chair. Step the back foot forward into forward bend. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, sweep up. Exhale, swan dive into forward bend. Using your chair or hands come to the floor. Step your left foot back. Slight turn out of that foot. Rise up into warrior 1 and square your hips off. Open out into that goalpost arms. Lift the heart. Exhale, cross the left arm on top of the right. Give yourself a little hug or wrap those arms into eagle and really separate your shoulder blades. Look to the right and left 2 times, releasing any tension in your neck. Pull your abdominals in. Once you bring your head back to center, curve your back, pull your abs in, round down. Now feel the strength of your legs here as you're holding and breathing. Press into the ball mound of the big toe, ball mound of the little toe, and right into your heel. Breathing into the back, and then pull yourself back up. Tip the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left ear, left shoulder. Head center neutral. Unwrap the arms. Stretch open. Reach down to the floor or to your chair. Step the back foot forward into forward bend. Soften your knees. Inhale, rise all the way up. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, up. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold, hands to your chair or to the floor. Step your right foot way back. Turn your foot all the way out, rising up into warrior two. Beautiful. So we have a longer stride here in warrior two. So get those feet really long apart. Take a breath here into goalpost. Crossing the right arm on top of the left into your eagle. Looking over the right and left shoulder 2 times each. So we're learning this pattern of movements. Once your head comes back to center, we're curving forward, reaching our fingertips down towards the floor. Nice and stable in our warrior two position. Breathing into the back body. Use your core. Exhale to pull yourself back up. And we'll tip the right ear towards the right shoulder. Left ear towards the left shoulder. And back to center. Unwrap the arms back to warrior two. So we are from here going to cartwheel the hands either to the chair or to the floor and step the back foot back into forward bend. Soften those knees. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale, up. Exhale, swan dive, hands to the floor or chair, forward bend, and step your left foot way back behind you, opening out into your warrior two. So take a minute to get that posture, get your stride length, check your form, make sure your knee is tracking over that front heel. Then open the arms out into your goalpost, pull the shoulder blades back. And then as you exhale, wrap your left arm on top of your right, either reaching for your shoulder blades with your fingers or coming into your eagle arms. Look over the right and left shoulder 2 times. This is the last time we'll do this sequence of movements. Really strong and supported in your warrior two position. Once you come back to center with that chin, round your back, separate your shoulder blades, bring your fingertips down towards the earth. Ooh, just notice what you're feeling here. Breathe deeply into the back body. Let your head, neck, and shoulders relax. And using your core, pull yourself back up. We'll tip the right ear towards the right shoulder, left ear towards the left shoulder. Bring that chin center, unwrap the arms, reach out into your warrior two. You're looking towards that front hand. Cartwheel the hands either to the floor or to your chair. Step the back foot forward, forward bend. Soften your knees. Inhale, we rise up. Exhale, chair pose. Inhale back up. Exhale, swan dive into forward bend. Hands come to your chair or to the floor, and we'll step back to downward facing dog. So you can use your chair here. So there's a lot less pressure on your wrists if you're using your chair. You can get a nice stretch, or hands to the floor, pressing away from the hands. Place the body weight back towards your feet and into your heels. We'll hold 3 breaths in that downward facing dog. Really lengthen the backs of the legs. Separate your shoulder blades. And one more breath. And then we'll drop our knees down to the mat. If you have your hands on your chair, go ahead and come down to your mat with your hands into all fours. Tuck your tailbone under, round your back into a cat, opening up through the backside of the shoulders. And then inhale, drop the belly down, look forward towards the top of your mat into a nice cow pose. We'll just do one more of each movement, rounding up into cat. And dropping the belly into cow. And then coming back to a neutral spine. We'll retuck the tailbone or the toes underneath, lift back into your down dog. Holding 3 breaths, you can move back to placing your hands on your chair. So working on lengthening the hamstrings, let's take a step forward with the right foot towards the top of the mat or to the chair. We can bring the hands up on the chair, place the back foot back into our slightly turned out warrior 1 stance. And we'll hold a hamstring stretch here. This is a pyramid pose. So hands on the chair is really nice. It gives you some support here. You can also use your block if you'd like to come down a little deeper. Some of you are really stretchy. Can bring your hands all the way to the floor. And we'll stretch and breathe. Now this pose looks so different for everybody in everyone's body, and it feels different in everyone's body. So tight hamstrings, you might be clear up here on a high chair, even the hands on the back of your chair, and still feeling as much stretch as someone who's lower down. So this is all dependent on your body, how you're built, and your flexibility. There's no right or wrong position in this pose. We'll take one more breath. And then place your hands just right onto your hips and bring yourself up to stand. Now it's really important that you're not lining up your feet like you're on a balance beam. So I want you to create some side to side width. So walk your right foot out a little bit further so you feel more stable. And then your hands can come back to your chair, or your left hand can come to a block. So we're going to twist this. This is our twisting triangle pose. We'll start to revolve our body towards this front leg. So a chair is really nice for this because then you can really get those shoulders to rotate open. Top hand can reach to the ceiling. And I don't have a big long stride between my front foot and back foot. It's not that far apart. So I'm going to try to get my heels down on both feet. And we'll take 3 breaths here. Our gaze can go up to the fingertips. It can go down towards the floor, or neutral right in the middle. Now, ideally, we have both legs straight in here, but if you need to soften this knee, this is okay. It's not wrong. It's what you can do in your body today. One more breath. And as you exhale, lower that hand down. You can place it to your chair if you'd like, or to the floor, and we'll step back to our down dog. So I like the chair for just really being able to drop the chest down and lengthen through those shoulders without any pressure on the wrists. So if you haven't tried this before, you're not using the chair as a crutch. It's just a way to get a different stretch and a different feel out of your down dog. All right, so let's go with the left leg. We're going to take a step forward with that left foot. Coming back into our Warrior One stance for pyramid. So pyramid is a closed hip pose. We want the pelvis to be level towards the way direction your feet are pointing. And we'll take this stretch for our hamstring, hands to the chair. Hands can be on your block at any height or down to the floor. And just for a moment, notice how this side might feel a little bit different, because it's very unusual for our bodies to be totally symmetrical in flexibility from the right to the left side. Now make sure you're not holding your breath in this stretch. Find those nice big inhalations, complete exhalations. And remember, if that knee's bent a little, that's okay. But if it's bent a lot, then bring yourself up higher so you can get it a little straighter. Because we have maximum flexibility of our hamstring when our leg is lengthened. Let's take 2 more breaths here in our pyramid. And then bring your hands to your hips. You can put a little bend in that front knee as you stand yourself up. So now we're going to create width between our feet from right to left side. So I'm going to walk my left foot out a little bit. This gives my hips a little bit more room in that triangle to twist. So we come back. Either hand goes to the chair, or it can come down to the block or to the floor. And I have the block under my right hand. My left foot's in front, so I have opposition. I'm going to start to turn my chest towards the front leg, revolving that triangle pose. Now, again, our bodies are not exactly symmetrical, so you might find this side being tighter in range of motion to twist. Maybe you feel it's really free on this side. They can feel like a completely different pose. Head can be up. You can look down or to the center and activate your thigh muscles. Tighten. Just a couple more breaths. And then we'll come out of the twist. Hands either to the floor or to your chair. Step back to your down dog. Stretch. Now, if you need a child's pose here too, that's a great place for recovery, a little bit of a breather, a little bit of a rest. And then we'll move back to the right foot, stepping forward just a bit onto your mat. And then lift your left leg up. So I like to use my chair for Warrior 3 because I feel really solid. But you can also let go for balance and hold this balance pose. If you're using your chair, just maybe one finger, just so that you've got a little bit of support. Whenever we stand on one leg, our hips want to go over that way so that our body is directly over the standing leg. But ideally, you want to have your hips still level with the floor. You're just removing the left leg, but you've got your hip in the same place it would be as if your left foot is on the floor in forward bend. So that nice neutral pelvis. One more breath. So if you feel pretty good here, stay in this position. If you'd like to try half moon, your right hand's going to come to your chair or to your block, And I just want you to start to rotate your hips. Now you're going to stack them completely over that standing leg. Maybe the left hand can go to your hip or reach up to the ceiling. Chair is a really nice prop to use for learning your half moon pose. If this one doesn't feel good for you today, you're still in Warrior 3. Couple more breaths. Really nice and steady. Then if you're in half moon, bring both hands either to the floor or to your chair. And then we'll step that foot back into our downward facing dog, or take a moment to rest in child's pose. Now I really notice a big difference on my right hip as compared to my left. So when we're standing on that leg, there's a lot of work in that hip, in the muscles that surround the joint and create stabilization. So I'm feeling my right hip is talking to me a little bit. So let's communicate with the left hip. We'll take the left foot and step it forward. Pick the right foot up off the floor using our chair or block or balance to find your Warrior 3. And sometimes it's nice to go ahead and use your prop first and really get your body secure. Notice that your form is proper, your alignment is correct, and then you can practice letting go. As you know, you've created a really good foundation in the pose first, and then you can make it more challenging by focusing on balance. So make sure that, especially if you're trying to look at me in the screen, that you're not lifting your head up, because as soon as you move your head, your body's going to follow wherever your gaze goes. Have you noticed that when you're driving a car, if you look to the right, like somebody's in the back seat, all of a sudden your car starts going that way? Because where you look, your body's going to go. So keep your head really neutral. And then we can try this in our half moon. So we can use our block or our chair and start to first stack your hips. I'm not even moving my upper body much or my head, just getting those hips stacked and then reaching up. It's a little easier to balance in this half moon if you're looking down at the ground. As soon as you start to look forward or up, where your gaze goes, your body goes. You might topple backwards. So be really careful as you move your head. Maybe just move your eyes. And we'll hold a couple more breaths, nice and strong and solid. And remember, if half moon isn't for you today, you're still in Warrior 3, just practicing on your balance. And then come back down. Both hands either to your chair or to the floor. Step back to your downward facing dog, or drop your knees and rest in child's pose. Ooh, great stretch there. Now, if you have hands on the chair, go ahead and bring them down to the floor. We'll all step back to hands and knees, and then lower down onto your elbows, your forearms. From there, drop your hips down to the mat, coming into Sphinx Pose. So Sphinx, I have my elbows directly underneath my shoulders, but this gives you a fairly large back bend, back extension. If your back isn't liking this, walk your hands forward more so that you're lowering down more towards your ribs and you don't have as big of a back bend. Sphinx pose is considered oftentimes a yin pose where we hold it for a period of time. But we're going to do our Sphinx with some core conditioning. So finding the Sphinx pose that works best for you, we'll take a breath in here. And then as you breathe out, pull your belly up off the mat so you're in a partial plank. My knees are down. Take an inhale to lower the hips, look forward slightly. Exhale, tighten your abs and pull yourself up to a little plank. And we'll do that twice more. Inhale. Exhale, pull up. Tighten your abs. One more. Drop your hips. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, pull up into your plank, and we'll hold here 5 breaths. Now, if you want more, tuck your toes underneath. Lift those knees up off the floor. And find your body nice and steady here. Now check a few things. Make sure your head isn't dropping down or looking excessively forward. Want to bring that head into neutral. Make sure your shoulders aren't slumping down or sagging. So press down into the forearms. Keep your body up, up, up. Check your hips. Make sure they're not lifted up or sagging down. You want to create that nice straight line. Last check is to make sure you're breathing. 3 more breaths. And 2. 1 more breath. And then lower those hips back down. Take another Sphinx, lengthen. Press your shoulders away from your ears. And then glide your hands underneath your shoulders using the strength of your triceps. Press yourself back into child's pose. Take a little bit of a counter stretch for your low back. You can also bring your arms next to the sides of your legs and round those shoulders forward. Relaxing your forehead either to your mat or to a block. All right, we're transitioning to coming down onto our back, and you'll need your yoga strap if you have it. If you don't have a yoga strap at home, a necktie works great, or just a winter scarf, something that's long that you can use to duplicate as a yoga strap. So we'll come down onto the back. Also, at the end of class, I'm going to give you the option to do your legs up on your chair or legs up on the wall. So if you can keep your chair close by, that would be wonderful. All right, so get yourself nice and comfortable. Bending both knees, set your feet flat, and we're going to take this yoga strap and bring it under the ball of the right foot. And extend that leg up. So if we keep our other knee bent and our foot flat on the floor, this tips our pelvis underneath us and we have more room to stretch our hamstring. If we'd like to straighten this bottom leg, you'll notice it tips your pelvis forward and it creates more stretch here. So if you're doing it this way and your knee is really bent and your hamstring's really tight, then try just bending this other knee and relaxing your pelvis and letting your sitting bones slightly rotate under. It takes some of that intensity out of the attachment at that sitting bone or ischial tuberosity. And we'll just hold here and lengthen. And then just keep your mind on this stretch and ask yourself where you're feeling this, because everybody's a little bit different. Maybe it's more in your calf, more in your hamstring, maybe more in your glute or lower back. So just notice for you where that is. And then we'll take what we call the sinking breath. So a sinking breath, S-I-N-K, is to inhale a certain number of counts. And we'll say 3 for today. And then the exhale is twice the amount as the inhale. So if we inhale 3, 2, 1, we'll exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Inhale 3, 2, 1. Exhale 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 more breath. Inhale. Exhale slowly. And then release that strap. We're going to come into a twist with the same leg. So hug this knee in towards your chest. Opposite arm is out, and bring that knee across the body. Look towards that extended hand. And take 3 sinking breaths. Inhaling 3. Exhaling 6. If a number other than 3 and 6 works better for you, choose that number and find a nice release in that long exhalation. One more breath. And then we'll come back to center. Set that right foot down onto the floor and then just let your knee open so you're in a tree pose laying on your back. And just find a comfortable position for your arms. They can be next to your body. You can be in goalpost or out like a T. And I just want you to relax this hip flexor, inner thigh and groin on the right leg. If you're pretty flexible in your hip, your right leg might be completely in contact with the mat. And that's great. Just relax it there. For me, not so much. My knee's a few inches off the floor. If you were holding this in a restorative class or more of a yin practice, you'd probably place a little pillow underneath your knee so that you could have something to press into. We'll just be here for a couple more breaths. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you can always hit the pause button and stay here as long as you like in these stretches. All right, slowly we'll close that knee right back in. Might use your hand to help. With that foot flat on the floor, let's grab your yoga strap. Now we're moving to the left foot. So take that strap, and if you don't need the strap, that's okay. You might be able to get your leg fully extended up without using it. But it's nice to have it under the ball of your foot because you can flex your ankle better with the strap. If I'm just holding here, I can't get quite as much pressure down as when I'm holding onto that strap. So for tight hamstrings, this knee is bent. If you want to open it up more, let that leg slide out. Feel the difference when you open up this hip flexor on the right side. And do the one that feels best for you, where you get the most length in your left hamstring. And then we'll find the sinking breath, inhaling a count of 3. Exhaling 6. Two more rounds of that breath. Maybe going a little deeper with the stretch on that third breath. And once you finish that last sinking exhalation, release the strap, pull that knee into your chest. We'll come into a twist. So we'll drag that leg across the body. Opposite arm extends out, turning your head to gaze towards that left hand. 3 sinking breaths. And that slow exhalation is really helping you relax any tight muscles along your spine, any tightness in the left glute and the hip, relaxing your neck and your shoulders. One more, inhaling, 3. Exhaling, 6. Align your head back to neutral. Bring that knee back up. Place your foot down on the floor, close to that right inner thigh, and just let your knee open. Reclining tree pose. And then just soften your left hip and allow gravity to pull that outward part of your left knee down toward your mat. You can also use the sinking breath here or just come into a nice equal ratio breath, a relaxed belly breath. Again, you can pause the video at a later time and stay here longer, or we'll start to close that knee back in. Now we'll do either legs up the wall or legs up your chair. So if you've got your yoga strap and you want to use that, you can actually place it under the bottoms of both feet and extend your legs up. So you're using your strap to help you keep your legs elevated. You can place a block underneath your pelvis to lift your pelvis a little bit. You can also just let the legs stay up on your own or drape them over your chair. So since I have my handy, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. It's a nice, comfortable, relaxing position. So with legs up, we start to bring the blood back towards the heart, up that series of one-way valves. And we can pump our ankles a little bit here to help that blood flow. The muscles will squeeze the veins and speed up the flow of blood. And also our lymphatic fluid also will start to return towards the midline of our body, which is very good for our immune system. And we'll be here for another minute or two. You can keep your legs up. If you feel more relaxed, to bring your legs back down to the mat, to the floor. Just find a comfortable place. And just really check in with your body. Notice how you're feeling. If you like, you can do a couple of rounds of the left nostril breath for relaxation. So you can bring your hand up, close off that right nostril, breathing in and out through the left. Just letting any tension melt away from the body, from the emotions, from the mind. Now feel free to remain here as long as you'd like. No rush to get up. If you're following the sound of my voice, we're going to come into a sideline position for a few breaths. So we can take our right arm up, stretch it above the head, and start to roll towards the right side. So our heart is a little bit to the left side of our body. So this is nice to free up any pressure on your cardiovascular system to lie on that right side. And just creating a little pillow with my arm for the head. And then when you feel you're ready to rise, Press that left hand into the mat. Use the strength of your arms to bring yourself upright to a nice, comfortable seat. And just find a nice long spine. We'll finish our practice with 3 neck circles each direction. So just start by tipping your right ear towards your right shoulder. Drop the chin down to the chest. Left ear, left shoulder, and back to neutral. 2 more. We're not tipping the head back. We're just circling down, side, and center. 1 more circle, side, down, and center. Reverse that direction. Just doing a range of motion that feels therapeutic for you. So not a painful range, especially if you're hearing a lot of crunching in your ears. Just make it nice and easy and small. And then coming back to neutral, hunch your shoulders up for just a moment. Then press as far away from the ears as you possibly can and slightly pull your shoulder blades back. Bring your palms into your Anjali Mudra. We express in this way our gratitude for this opportunity to practice virtually together and to keep our yoga community intact. And the light and the love and peace that resides within me honors the light, the love and peace in each of you. Namaste. Thank you so much, everyone. If you need to run, I'll see you next time in class. If you want to stay for a minute and chat, you can pop your microphones on. I'd love to say hello. And we'll get our recording off here.